Happy Samhain season, everybody. The season of Halloween and Samhain has officially begun. It is Mabon today. We are going into the evening of Mabon, the fall solstice, the 21st of September, which is the marker of the beginning of Samhain or Halloween season. Now, this is in celebration of harvest, the fruits of our labors, and appreciating what we need to be grateful for. It's kind of like the witches' Halloween. Not Thanksgiving, rather. It is the witches' celebration of giving thanks. And it was around in ancient times, the celebrations on the solstice of the harvest, within this Demeter energy, this goddess who gives forth, birth to the land, to the crops, that Gaia energy. This was a very ancient celebration of the solstice in many ancient European cultures. And I'm sure other cultures as well, but the one I identify with, of course, as European cultures, my own background. And it was a celebration of, reaping what we've sown, the rewards of the literal harvest of the food that was to be stored for the winter. Now, taking this into a figurative Wiccan sense, we can say that this is the appreciation, gratitude for things in our lives, for different aspects of our lives. That's what this celebration is about today. And to usher in the, coming end of the year, end of the witch's year, the season of Samhain. I have my little jack-o'-lantern with a tea light candle in there, and I have my little witch as decoration, along with our old friendly crow. Noir the crow. That's black in French. But this is just a time of reflecting and appreciating what we have in our life. And then moving into Samhain season after the solstice on the 21st, 22nd, it is about looking within. What do we need to let go of? It's all about introspection. That's why Samhain season is such a great time to get a tarot reading or an astrology chart, or just to go to somebody as a life coach or a therapist to talk about what you want to change, what you want to let go of in your life. That is what the season of Samhain is all about. And it comes as a reflection after we give thanks on the Mabon, on the solstice. So I am going to give thanks on the channel now. Thank you for all of my subscribers. Thank you for everybody who supports me and watches. I thank God and Goddess for the ability to do what I love and to get paid for it. I thank so much, God and Goddess, for my abilities. I thank all of you who are customers, paying, or people who just are watching and, and with no donations. I appreciate all of you who give energetic, positive support to my channel. And let's try to continue to keep our comments supportive and kind. We can have criticisms of things, but let's try to keep it a little cleaner, a little more positive. We want to lift this channel up with a higher vibration. Because that is what I want to reflect to you guys as well. But anyways, going in further to that, I want all of you to now reflect on what you're grateful for this year. And think about a little bit after that what you want to let go of, because I'm going to do a pick a number, 1, 2, or 3, about what do you need to let go of in this coming Samhain season. Now remember, Samhain on October 31st is the original Halloween. Halloween actually got its name over in the United States, and the customs of Samhain were brought over by Irish immigrants. Samhain is an Irish, Scottish, Celtic, Gaelic holiday in which the ancestors or the dead are revered. It was a fearful night. There were no sexy nurse costumes back then. There were no superhero costumes back then. The original costumes were ghouls, monsters, vampires, some of the more scary sort. So if you've ever dressed up as those things, you're doing more of an authentic Samhain or real Halloween costume. As I said, it is an Irish-Scottish holiday in origin. I particularly resonate with it because that is what I am, Irish and Scottish. And it was to really revere the dead, and also was a fearful time because people would go from door to door and say trick or treat, and they really meant they were going to vandalize the person's house if they didn't let them in to have like a meal or a snack or something. And it was fearful where people actually thought that the dead were roaming the earth and could cause havoc. So, I am of the belief that I do believe that it is a spiritually heightened night, and there are contacts that we have greater contacts with spirits that night. So if you're looking for channeling or a card reading, my promotion is starting now because this is the marker of Samhain season. I will be offering starting October 1st until October 31st, the $90 special. And I only have certain slots available for Halloween night, which is the best night of the year to do a tarot reading. Those will be filling up, so order it as soon as possible. And $90 special means I will do 7 questions for 90, or 5 questions plus an astrology chart, sun, moon, Mercury, Mars, North Node, and rising sign. And I will do that for $90 as well. Both readings are normally $100, so it's $10 off. So filling up for this month, and definitely let me know if you'd like one. So anyways, the Irish and Scottish brought Samhain over to the United States, and it was later renamed Halloween. And it became a time where children kind of just got candy. And the reason for that is because the candy companies thought of this idea to make it about the treat that they would get is candy, and people would get a treat, and to kind of like infantilize the holiday. And they changed it into like little kids wearing costumes and stuff like that. And the reason is because when the Irish first came over here, particularly, it was brought over more by the Irish than the Scottish. There were gangs of them where they would put soap on train car lines and cause vandalism, breaking windows of stores, robbing people blind. And they would do this because a lot of the Irish immigrants were very poor. A lot of times they lived side by side in impoverished and less advantaged neighborhoods with African Americans, in which they were both fighting for jobs. Now, of course, eventually it was much easier for the Irish to blend in due to the skin color, obviously being easier to intermix and blend in. And of course, African Americans faced much deeper racism for a much longer time, which still exists today. But when the Irish first came here, they were living in the less advantaged neighborhoods where they were being discriminated against. And a lot of this street violence came from that, because when people have less money and they are disadvantaged, et cetera, there is a more higher inclination to cause violence. Now, I am not saying by any means it is the same thing that African Americans went through due to slavery. However, this is why if you look back in history around the turn of the century and around the 1800s as well, I believe it was the mid or late 1800s, you see a lot of the neighborhoods of Irish living alongside African Americans. And they were very, very competitive over jobs, et cetera. So there was a lot of impoverishment in the Irish when they first came here. And they were struggling to find jobs, et cetera, struggling to get things and to make a life for themselves at first, of course, before they blended in. And a lot of their pushback and reaction to that was to take these old Halloween traditions of causing havoc, and these young guys who didn't have jobs, who couldn't find steady work, would cause fear and havoc on the streets and their little, trick or treats. And then it slowly morphed into trick or treating for candy, which was partially steered by the US government, I believe, as well as the candy companies, to turn this holiday into more of a kid holiday. And they made kid costumes, et cetera, to try to lessen these pranks that were done by teenagers and young men. So they made it more for young children. So that's just some interesting background about the holiday, but the traditions I follow are, of course, the ancient Celtic traditions, in which we, through anticipation of the month, we reflect on what we want to let go of, what we are appreciative of, and of course, any deceased loved ones we may have a connection with, we reflect on their lives as well. And it's just kind of a very beautiful, interesting celebration of both heritage as well as a part of history when you celebrate it kind of more along the lines of the Wiccan way, which is similar to the ancient Celtic way, except it's a little bit more lighter and more about appreciation and letting go than it is about, this fearful night just about the dead. So anyways, I want you to concentrate on a message 1, 2, or 3, and I'm going to pick the cards, and you can select what you need to, the cards that you select are going to be what you need to let go of this Samhain season. What do you need to let go of this Samhain season? Okay, so if you chose message number 1, what you need to let go of is you need to let go of the need for others to recognize you, message number 1. You have a high tendency to need 3 of Pentacles in your life. You feel like you need somebody to pay attention to you. You need somebody to tell you you're doing a good job, to tell you that everything's okay, to tell you that you're great. But you don't need this. You just need yourself. You're not feeling supported by others, 4 of Wands reverse, and you feel trapped. And part of this 7 of Swords this trap is in your mind. Because when you're too worried about what other people think, if they're supporting you, what they think about you, Three of Pentacles, if they're supporting you, Four of Wands, if you're too concerned about these two things, then you're going to make a trap within yourself, within your own mind. And it is a trap of your own making because, yes, people are not always nice. They're not always supportive of you. But you need to be your own biggest fan and supporter in this life. You need to be the person in this life who is really there for yourself, and be damned what other people think. If other people are not going to support you and not going to appreciate what you do, then to hell with it. Does what they think really matter? Trust in yourself and your own abilities. Trust. You need to let go of caring about what other people think. Trust and accept yourself. Let go of the self-criticism. Let go of that internalization of what other people say. If they're not supportive of you and you have the ability to remove them from your life, then remove yourself from the situation. Don't associate with them anymore. Distance yourself. It's time to accept yourself and to trust that you know the right direction. Be damned if other people support you or not. If you chose message number 2, you need to accept the fact that you were left out in the cold by somebody, Five of Pentacles. Maybe it's time to let go of a relationship and spend some time alone with the Hermit, or just take a break from a relationship. This person might have been pushy, King or Queen of Wands, narcissistic, bossy, controlling, and it's time to enjoy yourself and enjoy your life. Be kind to yourself, Queen of Cups, King of Cups. Be kind to yourself and love yourself. In order to find true love, message number 2, you have to love yourself. Maybe it's time to let go of somebody who's been treating you like shit. Maybe it's time to let go of somebody who hasn't been supportive, somebody who isn't very kind to you, somebody who isn't very, loving with their words. Maybe it's time to just let go of that for now and return back to it later. But it's really, I'm sensing time to spend time alone, to reflect on yourself, your life, and what you need, and putting yourself first. Because true love can only be found, message number 2, if you love Queen of Cups, King of Cups, yourself. If you give that emotional, loving, compassionate energy to yourself and enjoy your life, don't take it so seriously. We're here partially to have fun, not just to work and then to die at the end of our life. It's also to have fun, to enjoy, eat good food, go to fun places. Don't always worry about the extra pound you might gain, or, the extra money that you wanted to whittle away saving, and you're worried you're going to lose. Don't worry about that. I'm not saying to drain your bank account and to gain 100 pounds, but certainly life is not meant to be on a constant diet, and life is not meant for us to die with a ton of money, but no experiences that we have enjoyed. It's meant for enjoyment, and it's meant for self-care and self-love. So thus, as a result, we can give that to others. So message number 3, if you chose message number 3, you are a little bit unnecessarily worried about something, number 3, okay? And what you need to let go of is getting too caught up in your feelings about something. Now, I would never tell you not to feel something, but message number 3, it's time to use temperance and balance. And it's time to understand when you're working towards something, Seven of Pentacles, and it's not giving you results and you've been breaking your back, it's time maybe to give it up. Stop worrying so much, Devil reversed. You have created this trap yourself, and it's time to release yourself from the chains that bind you. You may have been having some mixed feelings about aging, about getting older, feelings and aging. And you've been having some negative feelings about it surrounding that. Like, am I still desirable? Am I still, sharp, quick-witted? Am I still, with the times? Do I still know what's going on? Am I somebody who still has it together? Should I stay faithful to this way of acting, or should I revise how I've been for so long? Everything in life is about growth. It's about change. It's about staying the same, but also being different. It's about staying the same at our core, but having different experiences that slightly alter our personality and our experience on the earth plane. So you as the woman particularly watching, this is also to my men as well, but you as the viewer watching, you may have faced an ending of some kind fairly recently with the coffin. And you've had some feelings that are negative regarding aging, or some fears regarding aging for some reason. And you feel like you want to come out of this prison you've created for yourself. You've finally made it to the next step. You're trying trying to imprison yourself any longer. You're trying to come out of this Seven of Swords, right? You're trying to come out of it, but you're still a little worried, and you need to release those worries of the devil. Stop comparing yourself to others. If you feel like you haven't gotten to a certain point in your life at a certain age, it's not up to you to compare yourself to other people. It's not up to you to keep working against something and trying so hard, and you still, nothing's freaking happening. Use balance in your life. Weigh out like a scale what you need, what you don't need. Release the things that are making you work so hard, or the people that are making you work so hard, that you have a lack of fulfillment in your life. Nine of Pentacles reverse, and you feel like you're hitting your head against a brick wall. Seven of Pentacles reverse. It's time to release the fear and the worrying of the devil. It's time to release this trap, the self-imposed trap you made on yourself. Seven of Swords. And it's time to release your preconceptions about aging and what your feelings are surrounding that. Now, you certainly should feel your feelings. I'm never somebody who tells people not to feel your feelings, but stop doubting yourself. It's time to release doubt and time to release the negative feelings about aging. And the only way we can release our feelings is to first reflect upon our feelings and acknowledge them. I always used to say this when I used to work for a crisis line. You tell people, it's not a good idea to tell people, oh, those feelings don't matter. They don't exist. You don't need to reflect on your feelings. The better way to deal with that is, what are my feelings? To examine them. Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling fearful? Am I feeling negative? Am I feeling anxious? And why is that? You know, just to kind of question your feelings. Why are those feelings there? And kind of look at them and observe them. And then by doing that, you can release them. And you can realize maybe it's not so bad, you know, dealing with different age cycles that we have in our life. There's a reason for them. And I'm learning some lessons from them. And my fears, yes, I have them and I acknowledge them, but I'm not going to let them overtake me with the Devil card reversed. And if something feels like I'm hitting my head against a brick wall, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to rebalance myself with temperance, and I'm going to release myself from the self-imposed prison and trap. Seven of Swords, reversed. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you later. And don't worry, if you ordered a reading that you're expecting tonight, I will have it uploaded tonight, and I will send you the link. And if you ordered a spell that has to be done tonight, I'm going to do it later tonight and then upload it probably in the early hours of this morning, because spells should always be done when it's very dark out, when it's very late at night. I feel like they work better. So you are going to get your reading if you ordered a reading and it's due tonight. If I did tell you I'd be doing it by tonight, you'll be getting it within the next couple of hours from now. And if you ordered a spell, also within the next several hours from now, from when this video is uploaded. Just so you know, I'm aware, I'm going to do it. But yeah, and this is just for people I told that they'd be done by today. If you ordered a reading recently, then you're going to wait until next week to get the reading. All right, talk to you guys later. I was thinking that, you know, Samhain also can be about a time of giving up something, you know, as I said, letting go, but it can be letting go of not just an emotion or a pattern in your life, like we talked about in the card readings, but also a time of reflecting on what you really just don't need. That has to do with modernized society. Do you need to buy fast fashion all the time? Do you need to, you know, always use your cell phone as much as you do? You know, because it's becoming a very widespread thing that pretty much everything we do is, you know, recorded by algorithms, right? And our likes and our dislikes, you know, the consumerism of everything has become so strong nowadays that there's always another thing to buy. You know, there will be ads put up on your YouTube or on your computer to get you to buy more things, because these algorithms literally track all of your spending habits and your, you know, your searches on Google, et cetera, to the point where you're always tempted everywhere you look. Do you really need to buy that next shirt? Maybe go to the secondhand store or the thrift store to get something. Do you really need to, you know, always get takeout every day of the week? You know, unless you're like so busy with a bunch of jobs. I get it. I'm not gonna, especially with women, I think there's too much pressure for us to cook, clean, you know, work full time, et cetera, especially when you're married and you don't have a husband doing it as much. I've heard that story a lot, ladies, and experienced it. So I'm not pressuring you to cook all the time if you don't want to. But what can you give up? And not like in the sense of Christian Lent, but what can you give up and like really just give up? Like, what do you not need in your life anymore, ever? Can you make a lifestyle change this Samhain season? What can you reflect upon that's going to deepen your soul and your connection to your higher self, God, Goddess, Spirit, your ancestors? What's going to connect you stronger to that by releasing this desire for something? For me, I'm going to try to cut back on shopping, on buying fast fashion. I'm going to try to cut back on getting those material items because it causes such a huge pollution to our environment the more clothes we consume. I watched a couple of documentaries recently. I'll put the names of them down below the video because I forgot the names off the top of my head. But they're about how fashion is the number one, if not one of the top two polluters in this universe, in this world, in the universe. And it is really crazy, you know, how many clothes people throw away each month. I myself am not guilty of that. I actually take really good care of my clothes, even if they're fast fashion. I actually don't have many compared to a typical New York woman, but I have a good amount. I like to collect coats. I like to collect dresses, but all of my pieces I take care of very well. I hand wash them if need be. And they actually, even if they're fast fashion, last me quite a long time, even if they're not my designer coats or something like that. They actually last me quite a long time. But just for the virtue of not wanting to accumulate too much, I'm going to try to cut back on buying and maybe not buy anything more than one thing a month that's a clothing item, which for me is a big deal, especially living in New York City. But that's going to be my thing that I try to release, to also connect myself to other things I like to enjoy doing besides shopping. Like, what else do I like to do? I used to like to dance, you know, I used to perform belly dance. What else? I used to create more art, you know, different things to reconnect you to other parts of your soul rather than just, you know, consumerism or modern day, you know, addictions like using a cell phone. It doesn't have to be shopping. For me, it's going to be shopping. For you guys, it could be, you know, I'm not going to use my cell phone so much. I'm not going to go on social media so much. I released myself quite a bit last year, getting rid of Facebook, for instance. So what can you release this Samhain season? Because as I said, you know, there is, I do believe, and I don't want to get too conspiracy theorist for you guys, but I do believe there is a little bit of a push in this society in this world to distract us from things by focusing on what can you buy, what new app can entertain you, how can social media distract you, right? There is a little bit of a push for that in the society, so we don't pay attention to what really matters. So we don't pay attention to what's really going on. So we don't pay attention to what they don't want us to see. So this is not just about Samhain and reflecting upon yourself and deepening your connection to God through what you can get rid of that's materialistic or superficial. Doesn't have, like I said, it doesn't have to be an actual physical object. It can be something superficial, like social media can be superficial. Constantly browsing the internet, if it's not about, you know, informative, educational, or spiritual topics, can be kind of superficial, depending what you're reading, like celebrity news or something. It's kind of superficial. It's not just about that, but it's also about, yes, how can we deepen our soul to something deeper, to something more meaningful? But how can we also not feed into this kind of distraction and brainwashing that we're being put under? How can we be more aware of what's happening in this world? How can we understand what's really going on and refocus on what really matters, what's important? Be aware and informed of what's going on in this world, and also just be aware of what really matters. Our soul, the one thing that we do take with us after we pass on. Not our clothes, whether they're from the thrift store. This is from the thrift store, by the way, and this. Not our clothes, not our cars, not our houses, not these tarot cards. I can't take any of this stuff with me. Not this lipstick, nothing. Not even this body, not this skin, not this hair. But I can take my soul and all the connections that I make through my soul and the experiences my soul experiences in this life I can take with me. And that's what we need to hold on to and foster and nurture during the Samhain season. All the other things can be let go of. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. And I might do more of an extensive video on my Patreon about the information stuff I was talking about with the apps and the phones and stuff like that. More of that in-depth stuff I do on Patreon. So if you'd like to subscribe. And if not, thanks for your time, and I will talk to you later. As always, if you'd like your own reading, go to naomitarot.com. Bye-bye.